P. Allen Smith's Garden Home is sponsored by the following.
Bonnie Plants.
Proven winners. Proven winners, providing new plants for the garden each year that are trialed and tested, selecting plants for blooms all season, both in gardens and containers. Proven winners plants can be found at your local garden center in their white containers.
Crescent Garden. Makers of weather-resistant, lightweight planters in a variety of decorative forms and finishes for any environment.
Arkansas, the natural state.
Your journey starts in Arkansas, the natural state. Vacation planning kits available at arkansas.com or 1-800-NATURAL.
Mind Farm. Mind Farm. We believe vital local food systems strengthen communities, enhance the quality of life, and safeguard the environment. Mind Farm, proud sponsor of public television and P. Allen Smith's Garden Home.
Well, here we are on our 15th season of our show, Garden Home, and we continue to grow. And speaking of growing, we've decided to dedicate this show to some of the best garden practices and gardens to visit around the country. Now, if you follow our show, you know that we've visited some beautiful places and had some interesting and enlightening adventures and made some lifelong friends along the way. And I have to say, we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So as we move forward in the future, I thought, why not step back and take a look at, well, some of those really compelling places and fun things that we've done along the way. Places that really are about my happy place, which is the garden. I'm often asked what inspires me or who inspired me to become a garden designer. Well, that's pretty easy because it goes back to a great friend and a beautiful place in England, Arley Hall and Gardens, and the late Elizabeth Ashbrook. You see, Viscountess Ashbrook was a real mentor and inspiration to me, and I learned so much from the beautiful gardens at Arley. I've had a fondness for wildflowers and North American native plants since my days as a student in England. You see, during one of my many informative chats with Lady Elizabeth Ashbrook, she noted that it was funny to her that it seemed that the Europeans appreciated American wildflowers more than we did in American gardens. In fact, Lady Ashbrook's garden at Arley Hall was full of flowers that I recognized from home. Lady Ashbrook, the first time people see this border, when they come around the corner, it's such a surprise.
Yes, I think it is. I do very often notice them stop here and almost gasp.
Yes, they do. I mean, it's so beautiful, the color, and it's so intense.
Well, I think the sheer size of it is unusual.
You have to believe that it was designed this way.
Oh, yes, yes. It was designed this way, but of course not divided up into these beds.
A herbaceous border is made up of a tapestry of perennial plants, usually the smaller ones in front and the taller ones in the back. But Lady Ashbrook feels that strictly following this rule of thumb can become too monotonous, so she mixes things up by allowing noticeable breaks in the rhythm of the plants.
I think it's much better to break it up like it. But I think equally it's essential to have a few tall, noticeable plants soaring up at the back to emphasize its width. And
right.
Yeah.
And in the back here we have the Scotch thistle and these big tall rudbeckias.
Yes.
And of course the American eupatorium, the Joe Pye weed.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Yes, ma'am.
Eupatorium, there's both a purple and a white.
That's right, yes
variety.
ma'am. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm always astonished when I come to these herbaceous borders in Britain to see so many American native plants in them.
Yes, I'm very interested. I hadn't realized how many plants we owe to America.
Well, they seem right at home here and very happy.
Yes.
Lady Ashbrook, thank you so much. It's been marvelous being here again. Hi, welcome to Garden Home. Yoo-hoo, over here. Well, you've probably already guessed it. Today's show is everything mini. Mini houses, mini gardens, mini pizzas. It's all coming up, so don't go away. Right now, how am I going to get back inside? I have to say it's a real challenge for me to talk about George Washington, our first president, father of our country, and that wonderful 18th century farmer, without mentioning his beautiful estate, Mount Vernon. Perched above the Potomac River, Mount Vernon is full of lush gardens, and my friend Dean Norton tells us about Washington's enthusiasm for the landscape. Dean, what a crowd. I mean, this is really encouraging, if not inspiring, to see so many people out today to see Mount Vernon.
Yeah, this is exciting. You know, what these people don't realize are gate receipts that we get on a daily basis helps us preserve and protect George Washington's home. So it is wonderful to see these people here on this nice summer day.
What was the size of this place when Washington, I assume it was his brother's estate initially?
Right, Lawrence Washington, and then he leased it for a while, and then in 1759 actually inherited it. Near the end of his life, he had 8,000 acres. 3,620 of that was under cultivation. Where we are today is the original mansion house farm, so not a lot of active farming took place here. This is where all the experimentation and planning went on. All those that would have come and visited George and Martha Washington would have come here. Well, the vegetable gardens certainly helped feed all those people coming by, over 700 in 1798. The pleasure garden for people to just walk, stroll, and enjoy. The bowling green to maybe participate in a game of bowling. Well, Washington was trying to emulate some of the fine old homesteads in England.
He had taken advantage of what I think is the most natural feature here, the Potomac.
Right, I mean, what an incredible view across the East Lawn to the Potomac River and the shoreline beyond. Of course, he didn't own any of that land over there, but he could certainly say, look at my view, and what a view it is.
Now, this whole idea of creating a sense of expansiveness was accomplished by many things. I mean, he was a surveyor. That was his first career, if you will.
He was a surveyor, so he had a good idea of the lines and the spatial, how things should be divided in a proper space and the units. And then, of course, also he read a lot of books as far as landscape design, and so that's what you see today at Mount Vernon is what came out of his research, his writing, his reading. And so what you have today is a transitional landscape. It's not quite naturalistic, but it's a transitional landscape between the formal and the naturalistic.
Now, Washington was, he loved farming,
right.
And he also loved trees, and it's evidenced in many places, but certainly here on the Bowling Green.
Correct. He returned home from the Revolutionary War, Christmas Eve, 1783, and 1 year was spent riding his western properties to check on those, but January 9th, 1785, he's riding his farms and his forests looking for trees to redo his landscape at Mount Vernon. So he's looking for ash, elm, hickory, maple, all these sorts of trees, and within and around this bowling green, he planted around 596 trees and shrubs.
He would have to be proud today to see that several of them that you see here were planted, I guess, under his direction.
Yeah, a couple of the tulip poplars that he planted may have been 10 feet, but now they're 145 feet tall and just magnificent specimens.
How did they get to this great age, given the fact that there's all sorts of climatic conditions that can cause them to die, as well as lightning and so forth?
Well, a couple things. One, the trees that he happened to find in the forest, he just found trees with good genetics. So they were strong trees to start with, and then they have been cared for since Washington's day. They would have been watered during that time, pruned, and of course the care of Mount Vernon Estate when George and Martha died just continued on right up until today.
So Dean, what about the lightning rods? I can tell that there are cables that run down some of the trees. When were those installed?
You know, the Ladies Association always tried to bring the best of the best to help them with whatever they were doing here on the estate. And they brought on a renowned tree specialist that encouraged them through the help of Thomas Edison, believe it or not, to put the lightning cables on these trees. And so all of the taller trees have lightning rods going up to the very tops of the trees. And if there's one thing the arborists did almost nearly 100 years ago to save these taller trees, it was the installation of the lightning rods.
Well, you know, this was a popular place to visit in Washington's time. What are some of the accounts of visitors?
Well, we have records of over 700 people stopping by in 1798, and those were overnight guests.
700?
700. They knew they had a good thing, and they stayed on for sometimes a long time.
And where are we in terms of visitation today at Mount Vernon?
Right now, for the last couple of years, we hope again this year, we're over 1 million people a year, which is just incredibly exciting.
That is excellent. Well, keep up the good work.
Alan, thank you very much.
Did you guys bring the goods?
That's what we're here for.
Good. Everybody know what's up next?
You sure you want to do this?
Think you're ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Good luck.
Hi, it's Brent and Josh from Beekman 1802.
From our farm to your farm, congratulations on 15 seasons of ideas and inspiration. Way to grow, P. Allen Smith.
Here, turkey.
Of our American presidents that love the garden, Thomas Jefferson always comes to the top of my mind. Certainly George Washington loved his garden, as did James Madison and others, but Jefferson had a love of the vegetable garden that surpassed all of them. He grew over 300 varieties of vegetables in his garden at Monticello. It's truly an inspiring place. My friend Peter Hatch tells us more. I find Thomas Jefferson's home, Monticello, so inspiring. When I was there last, I had an opportunity to visit with my friend Peter Hatch. He's the director of Gardens and Grounds at Monticello, and he gave me a tour of the enormous vegetable garden. Peter, I have to say the vegetable garden looks fantastic, particularly after such a hot, dry summer.
Well, we've had some nice good rain lately, Alan, and the garden has revived a little bit after a long summer.
Well, give me a sense of the scale of this terrace. It's a big terrace, isn't it?
Right. This was really Jefferson's retirement garden after he left the presidency from 1809 to 1824. And it was sort of a barometer of his health to come into this garden and sow peas and write down when his salsify came to the table. But it's an American garden, I think, in its scale and scope. This 1,000-foot-long plateau or terrace was literally hewed out of the side of the mountain on the southeastern slope.
So 1,000 feet long.
3 football fields. It's a massive garden. It was supported by a stone wall that's 12 feet high.
My word.
And below the wall was a 200 tree or 400 tree orchard with 2 vineyards that were surrounded by the fruit trees.
The garden itself was a real passion for him, wasn't it?
Right. I think it was, Jefferson wrote that the greatest service which can be rendered any country is to add a useful plant to its culture. And this garden became an experimental laboratory for him where he experimented with 330 varieties of vegetables. And
330.
he was kind of a seedy missionary, as he would exchange the latest in garden fashion with friends and neighbors and some of the leading plantsmen around the world. So it was an ongoing passion for Jefferson. He had this unbelievable exuberance about gardening, even as late as 83 years old when he read about giant cucumbers in a Cleveland, Ohio newspaper. And he wrote the governor of Ohio and asked him for seeds, and passed them out to his friends and measured each one. And he described himself as an old man but a young gardener. And that cucumber story expresses that very well. When he was president, he kept a chart over the 8 years of his presidency of when 37 different vegetables first appeared and then disappeared from the farmer's market in Washington. And according to one of his friends, foreign embassies would vie with each other to give Jefferson the most unusual type of vegetable. Jefferson in turn would take the seeds and pass them out to local farmers, and then he ordered his French maitre d', who did the shopping, to pay the highest prices for the best looking okra or the finest tomatoes.
Well, there's an incentive.
It's a great window into early American cuisine, but also reflects the legacy in local food and sponsorship of sustainable agriculture that Jefferson was so involved with during his presidency.
Now, you're totally organic here, which is marvelous. Help me understand and help our viewer understand a takeaway from Jefferson about growing vegetables organically and making the most of your time, resources, and space.
When Jefferson was serving as Secretary of State in the 1790s, he got a letter from his daughter Martha, and she complained about how the bugs were ravaging her cabbage plants as fast as she could set them out in the garden. And Jefferson responded to her by saying, well, that next winter they would cover the entire garden with a heavy coating of manure. He said when plants are growing in rich soil, they will, in Jefferson's words, bid defiance to all sorts of pests and diseases and droughts and all the things that afflict us in a southern summer here at Monticello. So it was a great rallying cry for the organic gardening movement. He didn't have too many alternatives at the time, but the belief that healthy soil produces healthy plants is at the core, I think, of all the gardening experience.
Absolutely. Peter, it's been a pleasure being in the vegetable garden with you today. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Hey, Smith.
Pelligrini.
I hear you threw down a challenge.
And?
It's on.
Think you're up to it?
I know I am.
We'll see.
Arley, and this is Georgia Pelligrini, here to wish you a big congratulations on your special anniversary. You are one of a kind, and I'm so blessed to call you a friend. I look forward to seeing you all over the TV, the magazines, and the books for many years to come, and many more years of friendship.
When I travel, I'm inspired. I see ideas, and I bring them home. One of my favorite places to visit in this country is the Biltmore Estate. It's one of the most magnificent mountain estates you'll ever see. You see, it's the largest house privately owned in America. And at the Biltmore, they do a wonderful job of bringing elements of the garden inside that massive house. I have to say that each visit I make to the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina is a learning experience. In the summer, I enjoy seeing the wide array of perennials and annuals showing off in the walled garden. The espalier trees along the walls inspire me to try to grow some in my own vegetable garden. And the arbors along the library, with its massive trumpet vine, was just one of the larger-than-life elements on this estate. In the fall, the landscape is dotted with beautiful trees that change colors with the season. The hillsides are alive with bucolic scenes of livestock and the house beyond. And in the house itself, a change has begun as it starts to undergo the transformation for the winter holidays ahead. Now, this transformation might appear to be an overnight happening to the hundreds of daily tourists trekking through the mansion. But to the staff, they know getting ready for the holidays takes months of planning. Suzanne Tate, a gardener with the Biltmore, shows us around the greenhouse and tells us a bit about some of the behind-the-scenes gardening that happens this time of year. Tell me about the poinsettias that you grow here.
Well, we grow a small number of poinsettias here, but we grow the largest size that we can. We usually do 10, 12-inch pots, and we also do some hanging baskets.
How many poinsettias do you use on the estate during Christmas?
Well, in the house alone, they have 600, and then in some of the restaurant areas, we put as many as 300 in there at a time.
Now, Christmas at Biltmore is really a 2-month event. It starts in early November and all the way to the end of December. So you're striving for earlier blooming plants.
That's right. It's quite a challenge for us, actually. And fortunately, they've come up with newer varieties that are blooming earlier.
I see. So you're using that cultivar of poinsettia in the house because they do begin flowering so early.
That's right. That's usually the first poinsettias that go into the house are the Freedom series.
You know, 2 years ago, you all restored this beautiful conservatory. Could we take a tour?
Oh, I'd love for you to see it.
Great. Now, these are some of the Freedom Series poinsettias you're talking about.
That's right. We're very proud of these. This is Freedom Marble. And we also have Freedom Red that's in the main palm house of the conservatory, and Jingle Bells that you'll see in the hothouse.
I love Jingle Bells. It looks splashed.
It does. And you know, it looks really good in the hot room. I think it goes with those colors that are in there.
Well, even the conservatory gets decorated for Christmas. I love the fresh wreaths on the front door and all the poinsettias throughout.
Well, we do all the work. We grow the poinsettias that belong in the conservatory, and then our crew is the one that makes the wreaths that go on the conservatory too.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all over the farm the animals were resting, curled up and warm. Now Santa's not known to ducks, dogs, and sheep, so all they wished for was a long, restful sleep. The chickens were roosting, dreaming of corn, laced Wyandottes, Buff Orpingtons, and brown Leghorns. In the field, Moose was dozing, more often than not, clearing his mind of his deep donkey thoughts. The ducks were all sleeping, the geese and swans too, all snug in their down, the days swimming through. And I in the farmhouse, in a bright cozy nook, had just settled in with hot tea and a book. When outside the house a car horn was sounded, I went to the window, then stood there astounded. There on the driveway, though I asked, is it real, was a cherry red vet with St. Nick at the wheel.
My sleigh's in the shop,
said Santa quite quick.
Borrowed the wife's. It's got a big kick.
What brings you here, Santa? This is an odd twist. I was worried I'd ended up on your naughty list.
Oh, no, Ellen, you've been rather nice. I'm sure of that fact. I've checked my list twice. A bit bossy, perhaps, but I'll let that one go. You've done plenty this year to help others grow. It's the animals I'm here for, gifts for the whole lot. They've all been so good when others have not.
With no further chat, he set right to work, pulling his bag from the car with a jerk. This bag was magic, that much was clear. He thrust in his hand, and presents appeared. For Smudge a new frisbee, for Squeak a red ball, for the turkey's reprieves from being stuffed in the fall, for Amos the rooster, new Argyle socks. Didn't see that one coming, but he'll like them a lot. Trudy the horse got a fat sack of grain. The ducks, tiny sweaters to stay warm when it rains. To every farm creature, from the big to the small, the right gift was given to bring joy to all. And when he was done, St. Nick turned to me.
Here is your present for under the tree.
From his bag he withdrew a bright ribboned gift. I shook it a bit and felt something shift.
No peeking, Alan. You'll just have to sweat. Don't open till Christmas, and it's not Christmas yet.
With that, Santa turned and walked to his ride, dropping in his bag and settled inside.
Good night to you, Alan,
Santa said with a grin.
Be a good boy till it's Christmas again.
Then he fired up his sleigh and was soon lost from sight. Red hat in the breeze, more stops on this night. And I heard him exclaim as he vanished from view,
Merry Christmas to the animals and also to you.
Merry Christmas to you, friends. May the season bring you joy. Lots of sweet dishes and even a toy. Happy New Year as well, and may yours pass without harm. All our best wishes from Moss Mountain Farm. Well, I hope you've enjoyed walking down memory lane with me today. We've seen some amazing gardens, but I have to say, we've just scratched the surface. Sadly, we've run out of time, so we'll have to pick up some of those some other time. As we move forward in the future, I hope you'll stay with us and continue to follow the show. There's a lot of exciting things out there to see. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith, and thanks for joining us.
All the fellas go.
Superstar bankroll, go ahead and count it. I got money, got some cars, got some homes, got some clothes. Swagger from my head right down to my toes. I'll get wild, I'll get wild. Come up to the spot, I'll get wild. Do it, turn the camera on, let's get wild. Fill off what you want.
P. Allen Smith's Garden Home is sponsored by the following:
Bonnie Plants.
Proven winners. Proven winners, providing new plants for the garden each year that are trialed and tested, selecting plants for blooms all season, both in gardens and containers. Proven winners plants can be found at your local garden center in their white containers.
Crescent Garden. Makers of weather-resistant, lightweight planters in a variety of decorative forms and finishes for any environment.
Arkansas, the natural state.
Your journey starts in Arkansas, the natural state. Vacation planning kits available at arkansas.com or 1-800-NATURAL.
Mind Farm. Mind Farm. We believe vital local food systems strengthen communities, enhance the quality of life, and safeguard the environment. Mind Farm, proud sponsor of public television and P. Allen Smith's Garden Home.
More information about today's topic and other topics covered in this series can be found at plsmith.com.